So today we're going to make a video entitled How to Not Do Brakes on a 2012 Honda Accord. This is going to be fun. Nope. Step one, get you a beer. Enjoy said beer. I think I want another one. I have a second one. Yep. I think we're gonna do this. Okay, so yeah, I know there's brake parts cleaner, there's oil filters, there's oil, another wobble pop. So first thing I'm gonna do, get you some brake best. I like to use O'Reilly's. I've been using O'Reilly's forever. I have a commercial account with them, and I'd rather have their parts than anybody else's. For the 8 through 12 Honda Accord 4 cylinders, you need D1336 for your rears. I'm not doing fronts because they've already been done. Brake parts cleaner because you just got to rejuvenate everything and make it right. For the oil change, excuse you definitely need a Wix filter. 57356 for the 2.4 liter. And I like this flavor oil here, O'Reilly's, full synthetic. For these Honda motors, the 0W20 is what you want. And also make sure you got plenty of these. So, my ex took off with all my tools roughly almost 2 years ago. It's been about 19 months. So, I'm going to use this Jag that actually shouldn't even be used, because there's really no notch in it, and seems like it'll be okay. Nope, probably fall and break my leg. This is gonna be fun. Next thing you want to make sure you do is the same thing that I did, and put the jack under the car and raise it up before you break your lug nuts loose. Yep, that's why I had to let it back down and break them loose. Because why? I needed another beer, that's why. So I went and got one, and then I remembered. Alright, let's get these off. Okay, we got that off, and what you're gonna do now is get you a 12mm socket and ratchet, and you got this bolt here, and you got another one just like it right here. You're gonna pop those out, and then we're gonna pull the caliper off. Now when you pull them bolts out, you wanna pull the caliper off. I usually just grab it from the bottom, rock it, and they usually come right loose. Now this caliper has a twist-in style piston. Now some people like to rent the kit or buy the kit, but there's other ways to do it. You're on a budget and you're a redneck, you'll get it done. As far as the brake pads, they just slide right out, which these ain't bad, but we're gonna replace them anyways because that's just the right thing to do today, because this one is a little worn. I always like to take brake cleaner, clean everything up. Makes it easier. You're not getting that crap all over your hands. Also, I like to spray my rotor. Now, you're going to touch it some more when you're putting it back together. But you spray it again, wipe it off. This stuff goes a long way. O'Reilly, thank you. Now, they say you need a tool to twist in that piston. Well, you can improvise. As long as you got something you can fit down in that slot without it flying out too easily. Flathead screwdriver, piece of flat bar, or in my case, what I'm using, these vice grips right here. The tip slides into that notch, and then I rotate it, and it decompresses the piston. Now another thing you want to remember when you're doing these, you want to line that up as straight and even as possible, 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. The reason for that, on the back of this pad, you got this little nipple, and it needs to slide into that so it properly mounts onto the back of the pad Once it gets in there, it'll rotate because it'll be in the center. This will be in the center of that piston. So this is going to help it stay in place. And if you don't have it in there right and you have it in there crooked, it's going to let this pad rock, which is what somebody did to this pad. See how it's worn sideways? It wasn't making proper contact. These pads aren't that old. Just what happens when somebody don't do what they're supposed to do. And I didn't do these brakes. We bought this car this way. Now, these caliper pin bolts, torqued 17 foot-pound. The caliper bracket back here, 80 foot-pounds. A lot of people do not torque parts when they put them back together. They're done that way from the factory for a reason. That's why they stay together. I've noticed a lot of people on here have not listed or stated any of the torque specifications, and there's people asking. 17 foot-pounds for the caliper pin guide bolts. For the caliper to hub mount, 80 foot-pounds. 80, 17. Remember what I was saying about that guide pin on the back here? Can you see those wear marks right there? Those are pretty deeply grooved. That's what happens when that caliper was not riding in the proper spot. And you can see the angle here. This was laying on top of it, and it's pretty wore down too. So the moron that put these brake pads on, I appreciate that. You almost costed me a rotor. Now, it's kind of hard to hold the camera and do all this at the same time, but I'll let you know, rest assured, total time to do that one side, 10 minutes. I'm not gonna sit here and go through the process of doing the other side because it's just repetition. You do that side the same way you do the other side. 17 foot-pounds on the caliper pin bolts, 80 foot-pounds on the bracket. The bracket you only need to torque if you're taking them off to replace the rotors. And on these rotors, you'll see that there's two set screws that are Phillips head. Go down to Harbor Freight or whatever and get you an impact screwdriver, okay? It's a little screwdriver, about that big, about as big around as your thumb, and it's got different bits. You can use Torx, Phillips, standards. You put that in there, and what it is spring-loaded. You whack it with a hammer, and it's going to break that bolt loose. Over time, of the heat cycles, getting hot, cool them back down, getting hot, cool it back down, they tend to weld themselves. And you people that are up around the rust belts, and you know, my buddy Derek over at Vice Grip Garage can vouch for this. He was up there around it. He knows it can be fun. No, but you know, before you get into breaking your knuckles and hurting yourself and trying to get this screw broke loose, get them good hot. Spray some PB Blaster or some WD or something Deep Creep or something that you like to use as a good penetrating hole. Spray it on there, get them good and hot. The weekend before, spray everything down, let it soak. Drive it around that way, let it get hot. Let it penetrate in and get down in there. Let it break that gunk up. A man can go out in his driveway with a basic set of tools and a basic set of know-how and maintain his own vehicle and take good care of it. Save yourself some bucks. And while you're at it, enjoy yourself. Have a couple beers, listen to some music. Y'all have a good day. Note to self, never, I repeat, never, ever clean your hands with brake cleaner and then immediately after take a piss. Oh, no way, no.